Hi, welcome to Warrior Commission Now, where we talk about practical ways to live out your commission with the Lord. And today I'm Christine Casten, and I am joined by Brigetta Eshleman. And she is someone who has been with the Warrior Commission for 4 to 5 years. We can't remember exactly how long it's been, but it doesn't matter. It's just been, she's a wonderful part of our community and our family and our tribe. And so today we were going to explore the Lord's timing. And this is really a key component to when we talk about the process of our journey, and we talk about the process of our development and growth and maturity, growing up in God. Timing of the Lord is a real kind of key part of that. So Brigetta, would you like to share a little bit more about God's timing and just kind of maybe what you've discovered a bit about how it works in your life and what it leads to?
Okay, thank you. Yes, the Lord's timing, not one that's, there are other things like you choose to go do something like study. You have control over that. But when you are waiting for the Lord's timing, it doesn't always go how you want it to go. And
we always say he shows up in the 11th hour, right? He always shows up, but sometimes it's the 11th hour.
Or there are times when you think, okay, I know I'm supposed to be going this direction, but nothing is working. And I've hit walls like that when I'm like, okay, Lord, obviously something, I can't even say I've got it wrong or that's not the timing or what, but I just have to stop and wait for you to take care of it. And he always does. It can be a little frustrating. So there are times when his timing is perfect and we're just rejoicing and telling everybody, oh, this is so wonderful. And then there are other times when his timing is still perfect, but it doesn't feel perfect to us because it wasn't how we wanted it to go. And you almost want to pull the Lord aside and go, if you did it this way, then, we could have saved all this time or all these steps or something. And he's about something bigger than we are.
Right.
And in talking with you in the past, I loved what you were saying about timing being like God's heartbeat. Mm-hmm. Could you talk about that?
Yeah. So as I was trying to get a grid for, we use the terms ebb and flow in our community. So when people are in flow, there's usually a lot happening. There's a lot that, maybe people are learning. God seems to be very present, like he's always present, but you feel it more, you recognize it more. It's like in your face, he's there.
Right.
And then in the ebbs, sometimes it seems like God has stepped back. Of course, he's omnipresent, so he's always there, but it feels as if he's not there with you as much. And it seems like there's more time where you're not feeling what's happening, or you're waiting, or and you're sitting there going, okay, what's going on, and so God started talking to me about his heartbeat, and he started talking about the movement or the waiting in tune with his heartbeat. So every time his heart contracts, that is movement. It's him pushing that momentum, if you will, or that heavenly release of us moving forward. And every time his heart opens again, it's that waiting place, right? Before it contracts again. And he pushes more of his love into our lives in whatever way it needs to, whatever form it needs to take. And so for us, that's kind of how we think about it, is the timing is a heartbeat of movement or waiting with him based on what is needed for, like you said, his overarching understanding of perfect timing. So what have you learned in the process of, like you talked about, sometimes you hit a wall, and and that's obviously very frustrating when, we all hit walls. We all hit these places where we're like, oh, things are going great, and it just came to a hard stop. How do you address that? What have you learned? What has the Lord taught you when you hit those walls? Either something really practically that you do, or just kind of in your spirit, how you how you are in that place with
Right.
those obstacles.
I would think talking about, or talking to the Lord about, because you're kind of like, wait a minute, we're supposed to be going this direction, or I know that I'm doing the right thing. I know that I've heard from you, and yet I've hit this wall. I have to, and it could be me. It doesn't necessarily mean the Lord has put that wall there to teach you something, but that he, to go ahead and just give it to him, say, okay, Lord, I can't move forward. You've got to move forward. And so I'm going to go wait this out. And that happened to me several times when I was doing championship training. And I'm like, I'm going to go read a book because I can't move forward here. I'm stuck. But in that process, I loved what you were talking about. The heart, I love that image of the heartbeat of God, that he, there's contraction and there's movement. So there are times when he's quiet and he's movement. And isn't that ultimately where we want to go? We want to know, to live in his timing, to live where when he moves out, we move out. When he stays, and it's almost like a horse with a rider in a rodeo. They've trained together. And so that horse knows where to cut and what to do in that moment. And if we've learned to move and to pause with God's heartbeat, then we're just gonna be in a better place to be able to hear him in the future. But I think so much, and I'm guilty of this, church meetings, committee meetings, we got something we got to do. So we know the scriptures, we've studied the scriptures, we know right and wrong, we know what to do. And so we're going to do our prayers, and then we're going to move out. And in that, because we've got our bases covered, right? We feel like, okay, yeah, let's accomplish this thing. Well, the Lord didn't really get to be a part of that. And so we need a little more time to pray and think through things.
Yeah, so many times we move out of assumption, like we're like, okay, we've read our scriptures, we've prayed the prayers, we've got this thing before us that needs to be done or needs to happen. So we're just, God didn't say no. He didn't say yes, but he didn't say no.
And it all lines up with scripture. It's all good.
It's all good. So, let's go,
let's move out.
Because I think one of the things and maybe it's mainly in Western culture, we have such a goal-oriented mentality. We've got to get this done. We've got to get this accomplished. We need to see this happen. We develop our own timeline. And the problem is all of that moves without God's presence. Like if it happens, if it can happen on its own without God, is God in it in the same way? Even if the timing is going to be exactly the same, is God in it in the same way as if we truly waited on him to say, yes, move forward,
Yes.
And so, I think we sometimes put ourselves in a bit of a bind because we decide that there needs to be this timing of things, or this number needs to be reached, or we need to be able to prove that what we're doing is valuable, and we quantify things rather than qualify things, and I think that's part of our learning curve.
Right. We're very uncomfortable if he says no, let's wait, or no, it's like no, that can't be right,
Yeah.
So
that's so true.
Yes, to be willing to move when he says move, to be willing to wait when he says wait, and to be accepting of whatever answer that is. So that you're like, maybe he says move and you're like, oh, I'm not ready. I don't have all my ducks in a row.
Exactly.
He's like, no. I got it covered. Go ahead and move out. But and man, those can be very exciting times because and he knows you don't have it together, but he's ready. So he's got it covered. Somehow he's going to, and it's very exciting because you just see him show up so three-dimensionally that it's like, wow, I could have missed this, you know?
Yes, that's so good, because and it's true, because we think about waiting and not moving, because God says wait, or he doesn't say anything. He's wanting us to tarry in that place. And I
Right.
at the same time, like you said, there's so many times that we get the go from God, but we aren't ready, and fear takes over. And and we move into that place of talking ourselves out of it and self-doubt, and God's like, it's okay. If we're doing it with him, whether we
Right.
feel ready or not, we'll find that
Right.
we are more equipped than we realize,
Right.
because he's done the preparation for us. It's already there. We just
Right.
haven't seen it yet. We haven't recognized what he's done. And so I love those discoveries of how previous God has been in the journey, that we don't even realize, all those dots. I call them those dots that he brings together, and he connects them all in
Right.
that moment in time. And you're like, oh, that's what that was about. Oh my gosh, that
Right.
was, 15 years ago, but I get it
Right.
now. It's like for
Right.
this, so it's fun to see those things come together. And really, that's the adventure, that's the adventure of what it is to be
Absolutely.
in the Lord's timing.
Yes.
So amazing. It's such a
Yes.
great way to live. It's a challenging way to live at times, but it is a great way to live overall.
And then when you get it, you feel like, okay, I got it. He moves the boundary line, and then
Right. Because he's always growing us, right? That's what
right, exactly.
he wants
Exactly.
to expand us.
Right. Right.
That's great. That's great. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us in this time. Brigetta, thank you for being here and sharing your heart on the Lord's timing. I love the conversation. It's been a lot of fun. And just want to encourage anyone who's listening that if you feel like you're at a wall, it's okay. God has a way around it, through it. He will dissolve that wall in his perfect timing. But in that place of waiting, just be encouraged. And if God's asking you, if you're in the other direction where God's saying, hey, let's go, and you're like, I'm not ready, just know that God is there with you, and he's already prepared you in more ways than you realize. So just hope that you guys are encouraged today, and thank you for being with us. If you want to know more about the Warrior Commission, feel free to check us out at thewarriorcommission.com, and we will talk to you soon. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.